Hey.
What's up guys, welcome back to Pat Outdoors. Today we're going to be working on my Talaria XXX. Just going to be throwing on some upgrades and making a few corrections to the current setup. I've had this bike since July of 2023. I got it from Lunicycle and this is still my favorite mid-size e-moto. This one's been hopped up to go over 60 miles per hour. It's running an EWatt 74 volt 44 amp hour battery pack with a nuclear P24F controller upgrade and a 44 tooth rear sprocket. I ride it mostly on the street with occasional off-road use. As you can see, I switched out the tires to a set of Shinko 241s. The front is a 2.75 inch and the rear is a 3, which I'm not too happy about. I'm actually gonna switch that out today. And I've also upgraded the suspension. This is a RFloXa fork for the front and a RFloXa rear shock, but I kind of rode it out of the box with the factory settings, and I definitely wanna make some adjustments to the clickers just to make it a little bit better suited for off-road riding. Wow, that tire is completely done. And it's not even rounded off anymore. It's completely flat because I may have done a little too many burnouts. You know, I'm gonna take the sprocket and the rotor off, because I don't want to potentially risk bending it while we're putting pressure on the tire. So I'm just going to be mounting another Shinko 241, but this time this is a 2.75 inch to match the front. I just think that it's a little bit more balanced that way. What I like about these tires is I can pretty much just use it for on-road and off-road. They're kind of like dual sport DOT tires. I'm going to keep some air in it, but I'm going to deflate it a little bit. Just makes it a little bit easier to get the tire seated in place. Man, this is actually going a lot easier than I thought it would. I think the last time that I did this, I may have not had all the proper tools here. The big tire spoons and the bead buddy definitely help as far as get everything seated correctly without fighting it. Wow, that was definitely the fastest tire change I've done so far. Now let's hope that I didn't pinch the tube because I don't have another one the same size. So I'm just gonna run it at 28 PSI first, just to make sure that the tire is fully beaded all around and that it rides smoothly. Then I'm gonna drop the tire pressure back down to maybe 15 PSI before we go off-road. So instead of reinstalling the 44 tooth sprocket, we're actually gonna go with the aluminum 54 tooth sprocket. Since I am using the Talaria primarily off-road this summer, I wanna have as much torque as possible. I don't really care to have this bike go over 60 miles per hour on the street anymore, since I do have other bikes for that. This will just ensure that we have the maximum amount of torque available, since I'm probably gonna do a lot of climbing with it. The reason why I didn't hook up the chain is because we actually have to replace it with a much longer one. Since you have a larger rear sprocket, I'm thinking that it's going to need at least 6 more links to accommodate the larger sprocket. Man, that original chain is crusty. So you can see it doesn't really move that freely anymore. It's probably going to feel a lot faster with a new chain. I ended up going with an RK420 chain. This one has 112 links, which hopefully is the right length. Worst case scenario, we might have to remove 2 links. This is an O-ringless chain, which typically involves a little bit more maintenance. You just have to clean it and lubricate it more often than the original O-ring style chain. But the reason why I went with a O-ringless chain on this bike is to reduce the amount of drivetrain drag as much as possible. This chain's also going to be a little bit lighter. Okay, it does look like I have to shorten this chain by 2 links. So if you have a Talaria XXX and you're using a 54 tooth rear sprocket, the perfect length is 110 links. Now that we got the chain installed, I'm going to bring the axle blocks back using the adjustment bolts on the back of the swing arm. And then once I get it to the right tension that I'm looking for, I'm gonna torque down the axle bolt. Next, I'm gonna be throwing on a set of handguards. Since we are gonna be riding in the woods, I just want that additional protection for my hands against some branches and some thorns. So I'm not really a huge fan of the inner brackets that came with the JFG handguards. It just feels a little bit cheap to me. So I'm actually using a different set of brackets that are all black and also a lot more low profile. These are actually meant for a set of motorcycle mirrors, but I thought that it was gonna be a pretty slick alternative. It also brings the bar in a little bit tighter against the handlebar, which I like since it's such a small bike. I didn't want it to look too bulky. If you are interested in checking out any of the parts that we used for this project, I'll have everything linked in the description below. Next, we're going to be installing some pieces from Warp 9. This is a direct bar mount with a 20mm riser. And then this is a steering tube lock. The steering tube lock is going to replace the cap on the top of the steering tube. This is actually going to go through the whole stem and sandwich the top and bottom triple tree clamp, which is going to reduce the amount of play on the bearings. And then the direct bar mount is going to replace this handlebar stem. So it's no longer going to be mounted on the steering tube. It's actually going to bolt directly on the fork. And then it's also going to allow me to reposition the handlebar slightly higher. So you can see on the side profile, it elevates the handlebar away from the fork, even without the 20mm riser in place. So it's just going to allow me to reposition the handlebar a little bit higher, which is going to make it a lot more comfortable if I'm riding off-road because I don't have to be hunched forward, especially if I'm standing on the pegs. Since I have a nuclear controller installed on this bike, we have a display that's mounted on the top cap. So we'll just have to remove that and then we'll remove the stem. The Warp 9 direct bar mount came with 2 sets of hardware. If you're not using the 20mm riser that's provided, then you can just use the shorter hardware. If you are using this, you have to use the longer hardware to mount it on. It also came with some shims for the handlebar in case you're using a smaller diameter one, but you're not using this if you're using the factory handlebars. Also, if you're using the stock XXX headlight, the bracket for it uses the front 2 mounting points. So you're gonna have to add a pair of spacers for the back for the mount to sit perfectly level on the top clamp. If you're using an aftermarket headlight that's not mounted on this, then you don't need to use any spacers for the bar mount to sit perfectly level. So that is quite a height difference with the 20mm riser in place. I might start off without the 20mm riser since the bar mount already gives it about a 15mm lift. So I'm just gonna see how that feels without the 20mm riser because I don't wanna make too many abrupt changes. It's probably better that I do this with the bike level. I think that's a pretty comfortable position for me, so I'm gonna lock everything down. Next, we're gonna be installing the stem lock. So I'm gonna take the front fender off and then we're gonna punch out this threaded insert. I'm definitely gonna have to figure something out with my nuclear display since it's usually bolted on to the top cap. And the Warp 9 kit comes with its own specific cap. So I'm probably gonna have to zip tie this for now until we figure out a permanent solution. And this is the piece that we were just punching out of the stem. Now here's everything that came with the stem lock kit. The bottom insert that's threaded on the inside, the bolt that goes through the stem tube, top cap, couple spacers for the stem tube, and some anti-seize for the threads. You want to make sure that the top spacer goes right above the stem tube, just so there's enough room for it to clamp down on it when you tighten the bolt that goes through the whole thing. So I'm going to be putting in this insert through the hole at the bottom triple tree, and then I'm going to thread in the top two bolts, but we're not going to tighten things just yet. It's a T45 torque socket. Just gonna snug that real quick just to center it. Before we start tightening this bolt, I'm gonna loosen the bolts for the top triple tree clamp, and then we're gonna crank down on it to make sure that it has proper tension on there, and then we're gonna torque everything back up. You don't want to tighten the top cap too much, just enough so the top and bottom triple tree clamps are properly tensioned so that the bearings are fully seated. Then I'm going to torque all the Allen bolts back up to make sure that it doesn't move. Not very proud of it, but this is how I have the display mounted for now. Just 2 zip ties through the bottom mount, which should keep it at least on there for today's ride. I was thinking about relocating it over here, but I don't want to lose the power button. Let me know if you guys have a specific suggestion. I think I'm going to start off with the compression set to 2 clicks from the softest setting and rebound set to 4 clicks from the slowest setting. I'm gonna do the low speed compression for the rear shock to be two clicks from the softest. I'm having trouble with my throttle. It's a little too sensitive for this. I gotta make some adjustments. This is way too sensitive. Oh, holy shit. Yeah, you gotta agree, this is a much better trail than last time.
This is crazy. Well, that's the thing with this Peters Mill Gap is it's kind of a shared trail with some Jeeps. My hands are so numb right now. My shit does not do well in the rocky stuff still.
It's kind of close call.
Dude, this rocky section's getting my arms, my wrists so bad. Cause like this is not a dirt bike.
Thankful when we hit the gravel road. Like, oh, God, thank you, God. I just want to take a look at it. I'm not gonna go anywhere.
I mean, you can go ride it. You can.
230. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. Oh, it's stiff, especially the rear shock.
Yeah, so I got to switch that from a 550 to a 450 spring.
Maybe you just got to upgrade to a 250 size. Come on, 250 like that.
Well, that's happening.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm looking at a KTM or a KX250, 250X, the one with the softer suspension.
Yeah, it's more of an enduro bike.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, dude. My rear end just skidding. Yeah, I've never ridden this fast on gravel for so long. This is so much fun. It's so freeing to be on a bike. Wow. This place is beautiful. Wow. So this is the burnt forest that he was talking about.
I know. Isn't it nice and smooth?
Yo, that was a nice ride.
I know.
Yeah, just for cruising.
Yeah.
This is your first bike?
This is my first bike I ever
A 450?
Yeah. I mean, I rode, yeah, because I'm 6'5", 230.
God damn it, Robbie. Ooh, I just took a branch to the shin. This is why I need boots. This is rocky as fuck. All right, so we've done a little over 34 miles so far, and we're down to 70.9 volts. I'm gonna try to do a little bit more riding.
Hey. It's that instantaneous energy right here. Boom! Just like that.
Wow, dude.
Is it beautiful?
Yeah.
Yeah, those rivers, the way it bends through.